What's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 7 of my Making a Murderer review. The series where I'm rewatching Making a Murderer on Netflix and going over the timeline of events and giving my thoughts, opinions, and theories I have heard of things that are going on. Now, episode 7 starts out with Jerry Pagel. He states that the investigation is being done by Calumet County, the FBI, and the Wisconsin Justice of Criminal Investigation. Manitowoc County is only there to offer assistance and equipment when needed. They will not be helping on the search. We all know that definitely didn't stick because the Manitowoc County officers were definitely searching on the property. Sergeant William Tyson, he's of Calumet County, states it was told to him that no one from Manitowoc County should be left alone on the Avery property. Says that this was his first time he ever had to watch another deputy during an investigation. States it would have been hard for them to plant evidence because he was watching them to the best of his ability. He was not with James Lank or Andrew Colburn on November 8th when they re-entered the Avery's home and found the key. Deputy Daniel Kurowski, he's also for Calumet County, does not believe they would have been able to plant the key, doesn't think they did it. The defense objects to that statement and asks for it to be stricken from the record, which the judge agrees and does stricken that statement from the record. Then he says it would have been possible for them to do it because he was doing other things. The first time he was in the room, the key was not there. Lieutenant James Lank, November 8th was his third time searching the Avery property. He was waiting for this is the lawyer's opinion and the opinion of lots of other people. He was just waiting for the right time to plant the key, to plant some evidence when he wasn't being watched. He volunteered to help with the case, but he did not tell the people involved that he was being deposed because of a civil case that included Stephen Avery. So if they knew that, they probably wouldn't have allowed him on the property at all, but he didn't tell them, so he was able to go right into Stephen Avery's bedroom. They allowed someone who's part of a lawsuit to investigate that person that is suspected of murder. How does that happen? How is that a thing? Sergeant Andrew Colburn said Avery told him he never talked to Teresa Halbach, says that this is the first time his integrity as a police officer has ever been questioned. November 3rd, 2005 was when he talked to Stephen, but he didn't write a report about it until June 2006. He states there was no time he did not search without James Lank. In his report, he never wrote down that they found the key. I have a theory here. Maybe Andrew Colburn is telling the truth. Maybe he didn't do it, but maybe he knows James Lank did do it. By that I mean plant the evidence, and that's why he's acting all suspicious and fishy on the stand, because he was there when James Lank did it, or knows James Lank did it, and he is using Colburn as an alibi to say that he didn't do it. Because who knows? If I had to guess, I would say Lank is the guy behind the framing, and maybe Colburn was just there. And that's why he's suing Netflix and why he's suing the filmmakers, because he didn't actually do it. I'm not saying this for sure. This is just a theory I'm throwing out there. So maybe he didn't actually have something to do with the framing. Or maybe he did. I don't know. It's just a theory. Just a theory. Just a thought. Thomas Fassbender says it doesn't matter that the RAV4 was under watch by only officers from Manitowoc County for about 4 hours. Meaning the only people protecting the RAV4 were officers from Manitowoc County. Meaning they had 4 hours to do whatever they wanted with that RAV4. Like, maybe, allegedly, maybe, plant some evidence. It shows that James Lenk signed out of the checkpoint that the RAV4 was at 10:41 p.m., but there are no records of him ever signing in. He states he showed up just after 2 p.m., which would have been before they started keeping logs. Stephen Avery's lawyer, Dean Strang, states that on August 9th, 2006, James Lenk gave testimony that he arrived between 6:30 and 7 p.m., which means the checkpoint would have been there. But let's say that is true, that he did show up between 6:30 and 7 and didn't sign in. Why would he sign out? Was it a mistake? Did he actually show up at 2 before it happened? Or did he show up, sneak by the person at the checkpoint, and then they saw him coming out, so he had to sign out? In 2002, a year before Stephen Avery was released, evidence was sent to the State Crime Lab for DNA analysis. The submitting officer on the form is James Lenk, meaning he knew they had Avery's DNA, they had Stephen Avery's blood, and he knew where it was, and he knew where to find it and how to get it. Lynn Zygmunt, she is a clerk with the Manitowoc Circuit Court, says the Sheriff Department has a master key and can access the evidence at any time, meaning after hours and on weekends when nobody else is around. Jerry Buting, Stephen Avery's lawyer, states that when blood is taken, EDTA is added to the blood so that it doesn't spoil. They wanted to test the blood in the RAV4 for EDTA, but he was told they don't do those tests anymore. But the prosecution somehow got the FBI to create a test to have it done. And a week before the state rests its case, the FBI announced they have the results of its newly found test. Judge Willis says the results are admissible, meaning they are allowed in court. The test was supposed to take 4 to 5 months, but the FBI got it done in just a few days. Jerry Buting, this is the first time anywhere in the country, ever, that an expert is being allowed to testify about EDTA. The only other time it's ever come up in a case ever was the O.J. Simpson trial, and that's because both sides agreed upon it. Judge Willis is the first judge to ever rule this type of evidence admissible in court. Dr. Mark Lebeau works for the FBI in Quantico, says there was no EDTA found and the blood didn't come from the vial of blood from the 1985 case. Jerry Buting states that they already think Stephen Avery is guilty and they are bending the evidence to fit their narrative. Janine ARVIZU, she is a lab data quality auditor and says it is possible the blood did come from the vial from the 1985 case, but the FBI test did not detect it. She does not know the different level of tests and how much they actually test for it. So it's possible that they weren't testing it good enough to find the levels of EDTA, and that it is possible that the blood did come from the vial from 1985. After the state rests its case, the defense files a motion to have the false imprisonment charge thrown out of court because of Brendan Dassey's statement, his coerced statement. Judge Willis grants that motion, so they got rid of 3 of the 6 charges. Now it's time for closing arguments. Woo! And that's episode 7. So many crazy things going on, but based on this episode alone, it seems to me, I get the impression now that James Lenk is the one who's behind probably all of the framing of Stephen Avery. Maybe not all of it, but he's the one right now that's the center of it. And possibly Andrew Colburn knows about it, but didn't actually take part in it. and is doing his part by keeping the secret of James Lank and the other people involved. That could be far-fetched. I don't know. But it definitely seems plausible based on this, because he didn't write finding the key, but James Lank found the key. You know what I mean? So maybe he was being honest in his report, and James Lank just did it anyway. I don't know, just something to think about. Lots of different theories out there. What do you guys think about what's going on in the case to this point, episode 7 of Making a Murderer? If you haven't seen Making a Murderer, go watch it. It's on Netflix. It's absolutely bonkers. I think you will really enjoy the twists and turn of this case. If you would have said that this was a movie script, you would probably be told this isn't believable. But this happened, and this is real life in Manitowoc County, Wisconsin.